Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. Again, it's the EOSwriter for the weekly news update. Sorry it's a few days late. We had a bit of technical issues at the start of the week, but we might start doing it in the middle of the week anyway. Like kind of the weekly update in the middle of the week kind of thing, hump day. But we have a very special guest on today. We have Zack Gall.
What's up, everyone?
Here he is. He's the guy, the rabbit hole man. This guy, he knows everything.
Finally made it to EOSwriter. Kenny's been wanting me to write an article for him for months now, and I told him I'm not much of a writer. But whenever I had the opportunity to come on and talk, I obviously jumped at it. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, dude, we all know your voice. I literally, when we started the call, it's like, just feel like I'm watching a podcast, bro. Like, but yeah, good to have you on the show, brother. Let's start from where we said we were going to start from. Let me just scroll down. So let me just quit that. Something on my screen. Right, so we'll start with EOS REX. Now, everybody knows what the REX is in the EOS community. If you don't know, resource exchange, big news. You're going to be able to rent out your staked tokens, which you vote for. We've been waiting for this for a while, haven't we, Zach? Like, what are your thoughts? It's not exactly live right now, but so 7 days, right?
It's not live now because what happened was I think it failed twice. So every time it passed with the 15 out of 21 multi-sig, now that we have the EOS user agreement that passed, that's all that needs to happen to implement these system contracts. And what happened was a little bit of after an update is submitted for vote, once it's voted in, you can't really like change, I guess, parts of the code. If you want to make any small changes, you have to basically put it up for another multi-sig. So I think that's what happened once or twice where it failed. And then EOS Authority last night put out a tweet that said the other thing that we're waiting on is Ricardian contract text. Because about 2 weeks ago, a week ago, EOSIO Labs put out an update for Ricardian contracts for like wallets to integrate with, and every function in line of every transaction should have a human readable text that describes what that code does, and that wasn't in all of the REX code that was tested on the testnet. Because it was working on the testnet for a while now. Yeah,
it was on the JungleNet it's been on the JungleNet for about a couple of months, I think.
So I think the update that Rashawn from EOS Authority put out is sometime next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. Like, it's a big deal because, like, I always think that, we have a lot of staked tokens in the EOS network anyway, but this is going to bring like the next level of utility. So, if we see more staked tokens, we saw more people coming into EOS, especially with June, it's just going to, I feel like it's like a trifecta of things just going to really propel EOS to the next level. But yeah, guys, you can check it out. I'll put a link in the description, EOSREX.io. You can have a look at like the kind of the beta version, but I reckon 7 more days, 6, or maybe even less, 5, 6 more days, but that's what we're looking at. So moving on to the next thing. So that's the REX. We want to whiz through this. We want to take too much time. Right, so let's talk about let's talk about PEOS, because it's got a lot of like traction at the moment in the market, like on new decks. It's just been going through the roof. It's there's a lot of talk about the contract being owned by like the team, and we'll move on to that in a second with the whole like decentralized smart contract from EOS New York. But actually, no, we'll stick with PEOS just now. We'll move on to that in a second. But what do you think about do we need something like PEOS, Zach? What do you reckon?
I mean, we need a way, like blockchain's great in the sense of transparency. But there's some stuff that you do want to keep private, and like zero knowledge snarks are a big thing that I hope we could see on the main net or on a second layer solution someday. But we don't really have that in the pipeline as far as I know. So PEOS will give the option to send kind of anonymous transactions, which is a huge step in the right direction, because right now, if you have your wallets, they're all kind of tied together. Even if you keep multiple wallets like most of us do, like if you followed the transactions far enough, you can kind of find the original wallet. So the only way to really get around that is to send tokens to an exchange, and then from the exchange send them to the other wallets.
Yeah, sure.
So being able to avoid that is big. But I think you mentioned it earlier as far as who owns the contract. So whenever you can't.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. We can end up meshing everything together, can't we? There's so much stuff going on. But yeah, no, I agree with you on every single point. Like, there's like the ledger, it's a transparent ledger, which is great. But people have to have a certain level of transparency in their lives as well. And Dan has obviously alludes to that in everything he says. He thinks that he's kind of like an anarchist in a way. He wants everybody to own their own data, their own this, their own that. But Yeah, man, I agree with you on that. So let's move on to the next topic. But yeah, the hardware wallet. So New York, EOS New York. I watched a video from Colin Talks Crypto. Shout out to his videos, man. And it showed the hardware wallet in, I think it was San Francisco, the World Expo. But what do you think?
So
Was that?
So
Yeah, go on.
there's two different things. So Start EOS actually gave away a free hardware wallet to a lot
Oh
of.
yeah, that was it. That was it.
So that one's pretty cool. I have one right next to me actually, and I have yet to use it. But I will.
Sweet.
But I will. So I had this same conversation with Rob yesterday, which you'll probably hear tomorrow or the next day, about this wallet. And what are you? I want to get your thoughts on independent wallet providers creating hardware wallets, because there's a certain level of trust with a wallet, right? Like we kind of trust Ledger and their wallets to be secure, but now we have independent block producers who have a certain level of trust. Like I trust EOS New York, but yet we're like trusting them with our hardware now, and
Exactly.
they're not like hardware
yeah.
experts necessarily. So I'm sure they contracted it through a manufacturer, but I just don't know the details.
Oh, so what you're saying is, it's like when you get your Ledger, you kind of like trust it because at the end of the day, they could know what the key is within it. There was that big scam, wasn't it, on eBay, where people would sell the Ledger, secondhand Ledger, but they would like have the recovery phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think you're right, man. Like it's all going to come down to like the boiling fact of trust. Really, like there is going to be a trust element. But
well, the code's open source.
It's actually a really good point.
So the code's open source. So really, you have to worry about like man in the middle or hardware attacks.
Yeah, exactly.
And exploits.
Hardware attacks.
Which it's probably secure. Like I don't want to FUD or anything. Like this is a great tool. I can't wait to use the EOS hardware wallet. But just a few things I like about it. I like it's colorful. It's pretty looking. The thing I wasn't a big fan of is there's no screen on it, and there's also not a screen on the Start EOS wallet. But whenever you're typing in your PIN and stuff, I guess there's not enough details on it yet.
Is there a PIN on it, right? So when you want to send a transaction, you have to put a PIN into the device.
Yeah, and I just don't know how. I'm sure it will be explained. And then, so a lot of my critiques, I guess, with the wallet, and it's not really critiques because it's just information I don't have, is one, how do you type in the PINs and verify you're typing it without a screen, I guess. And then the other thing is on the EOS Metro, I think it's .io, their website, it says it's good for desktop and mobile, but it doesn't mention having any Bluetooth capability or NFC capability.
Yeah.
So maybe it does have that, and it just needs to be put on the website. But I'm curious how it's going to be used on mobile, considering it's a USB stick.
It probably you bring up some good points, man. Like, because it obviously the hardware side of it's more secure, but then we've got to be worried about the people who are actually making it. But it's this kind of leads on to our next topic. But yeah, thanks for that, man. And what does it look like? The Start EOS one did you say it just looks like a thumb drive?
No, so the Metro wallet looks more like a thumb drive.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Metro wallet now. That's on the screen. But you said the Start EOS one. What does that one look like? It
literally looks like a square. That is, it's like a keychain almost. It's like the size of a keychain, and it doesn't have a screen. It has one button, that's the power button, and it has a USB-C port on it.
Ah, interesting, man.
But
okay, well, I think they're giving some out, so hopefully we'll see them. But
I mean, I think it's cool though. I think having choice is good, and the one thing I am excited about with the EOS New York wallet is we don't have a price point on it yet. But from the hints Kevin Rose has given publicly, he said it's going to be very, very much cheaper than like Ledgers and Nanos and what we're currently used to using. So the price point's going to be a much lower barrier of entry from anything.
Because you do think that, don't you? Like when you buy this Ledger, like you look at memory sticks in a shop, because they cost nothing. It's like a quid. You get like a terabyte or something crazy. And then Ledger's selling you like basically a memory stick. It's not really that much more advanced. And it's like 70, 80. I think it was like $100 in the UK. I don't know how much it was in America.
Yeah,
but
Ledgers are over 100. They're I don't know the exact numbers because I've had mine for so long, but they're at least $100. I would think.
It's a lot of money for something which only stored like 5 cryptocurrencies at the time. They're making a killing, those guys over there. So it's good to hear that. I think EOS New York they care. It's good. The thing about EOS New York I've always found, and this will get onto our next topic. I'll kind of link this in, right? So you're saying about the EOS, you're saying about the EOS New York thumb drive, kind of like the wallet, the Ledger kind of wallet. Can we trust EOS New York? But the good thing about EOS New York is that they've come out and they've actually like opened up a big can of worms about like who actually controls the smart contracts. So there's a big issue at the moment. Well, I don't know. I think Colin Talkscript did a few videos on it, but like there is actually a way that people who create PEOS, for instance, or any token on the EOS network can actually go in and change like the actual fundamental token economics of the token. So say PEOS, for instance. I'm not trying to hate on PEOS here. They're probably absolutely fine. The core team and everything, they're a great project, but there is a way they can go in. They could change like the supply, the inflation rate, all this kind of stuff, and that's not a problem on Ethereum because you can't change smart contracts on Ethereum. So that's one thing which is good about Ethereum, but obviously that comes with its cons as well, because then if you screw up we found with EOS, like you're always going to have bugs. Mm-hmm. So if you screw up the code and then you put it on the blockchain, it's never going to be able to fix it. But what do you know about it? Because like I've done a bit of reading about it. I've got the article on the screen. Mm-hmm. It kind of ties into the hardware wallets. It's like we always need to try and decentralize everything as much as we can, right?
Well, I mean, decentralization is like it's a spectrum. Like it's not like it's binary where it's either decentralized or not. It's how decentralized is it? And whenever there's only one private key controlling a contract, that's like the least bit of decentralization you could possibly have. So
yeah, that's like centralized, right?
So basically what EOS New York is trying to do with their proposal is they want to create a way for a dApp to be able to bid in an auction every day, and whoever wins that auction basically earns the right of having the block producers control a multi-sig key basically for updating a specific contract related to the token itself. So it's controlling like the token supply and how they're distributed and stuff. You're basically giving up that control so that the only way that could be modified is by getting 15 out of the 21 block producers to approve it. So it's basically allowing control to be taken away from the project itself. And then another benefit of that is because it would use an auction-like system, sort of like the EOS name auction we have today, where those funds are going to go into the REX, whereas EOS New York's proposal has those funds getting diverted into a workers' common fund that'll be used to develop beneficial projects for the ecosystem that aren't necessarily going to drive revenue to anyone. So how do we get that stuff accomplished is we have to have these opt-in funds. It's not coming from inflation, it's coming from the dApps themselves who opted in to bid on these auctions.
I think it's like a good middle ground, because like with Ethereum, it was like so extreme one end. It's like if there's one mistake in your code, that will run like that forever. So it's like a really nice middle ground where you can have like an opt-in system where, and at the end of the day, 15 out of the 21 block producers still could change it. That's my cat. Oh God, here we go. You're going to get a lot of this right now. She goes all crazy when she's hungry. But so where was I? So yeah, 15 out of the 21 block producers can still kind of change it. So if there was like a fundamental problem with it, and then we could all vote to say, okay, we'll change the contract, like the DAO. If we had like a system with the DAO where we could have changed it, we would have been able to get those funds from Ethereum. And it doesn't matter about Ethereum anymore. That's over anyway. But do you know what I mean? It's like the middle ground, right? So like now we can have like two. It's not too extreme either way.
Well, it's the difference between being mutable and immutable. So immutable means nobody can change the code no matter what. And that's what it's like on Ethereum. And there are probably some benefits to that, but you mentioned the DAO. And then there was also the parity incident last summer where I tens of millions of dollars basically got locked in a multi-sig contract, and the code from the multi-sig got messed up in some way from a code push. And now all of this Ethereum's just locked up in this wallet and no one can touch it because it's completely immutable. But if it had a system like EOS, and if EOS New York's proposal went through,
it's like semi-immutable, right? It's like it is immutable, but the 15 can change
but
it.
You'd have to lobby all of the block producers, and it would be a long process. But in like the case like the parity hack, I think everyone in the Ethereum community would agree that like this team, this is their money, like they own it, they could prove that it's theirs, and they would support this. But on EOS, we have like a potential proposal that could help with that. But it might not even be the best proposal either. I want to add that EOS DAC actually put out, I don't want to call it a rebuttal, but they put out an article that said, hey, there's other ways to decentralize contracts, and they proposed like a DAC-like functionality to make any updates. So you have to have still some sort of consensus to change a contract. That way it couldn't just be done by one person. And at the end of the day, that's the goal here, is to take the contracts that most of them only have one private key that controls them, which means it's one wallet, like one person or one entity controlling it. Whereas if you could decentralize that and just creating a multi-sig in general, so you could have a board, some sort of board that controls it, or like a community governance token that controls it, some sort of way to decentralize updating that contract, because then it's immutable unless whatever that multi-sig or consensus is reached,
or if it's crucial.
So it's just making it very difficult to update, but it is possible.
It's really good, man. It just shows the power of EOS, in my opinion. Like, even if you put the problems aside, even the fact that we can actually like discuss this and have like an open kind of almost like a governance kind of talk around it, it's like so powerful, because like the world's going to change, all these projects are going to change, but that's a whole nother topic. We could go down the rabbit hole, all that kind of stuff anyway, but we'll move on to the next news story. I swear we've already done we've been on for ages anyway. This is we said we're going to try and make it 10 minutes, but this is easily going to be half an hour.
This is a bad habit of mine. I'll talk all day.
Yeah, literally, I saw your EOS podcast. I like look at the time, like what the hell, I've been here for like an hour and 15. Okay, right, let's move on to the next stuff. So we'll just skim through Dmail. So they've, Dmail's great, right? So
just got added to EOS links, so now you could use it on mobile if you're part of the beta. So that's the big update. It's pretty simple update.
That's the big update. Rob Finch is behind it. Kurt's building it. Kurt Berger. Those guys are great. Keep doing what you're doing. We won't go through any of the tweets from Dan Larimer, because that just takes so long. All right, so World Expo. We'll quickly skim on that. Were you at the World Expo, mate?
I was. It was a blast.
You were.
Man.
How was it?
It was a blast, man. There were so many people that I talked to online. I got to meet in person. I got to meet like Colin from Colin Talks Crypto, Dallas. Just a bunch of projects I got to meet in person and talk to. It's just you can't really replicate that in-person environment. And I haven't been in an event this well attended from the EOS community since the EOS Hackathon in San Fran. And without any more hackathons in sight, I hope they get announced for later this year, but we don't know yet. But anytime I can make it out to a community event for EOS, I will be there, because there's nothing else like it. And you'll see that the next time you have one in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. Well, I was annoyed I couldn't make it, but like...
have you been?
It was... I went to the London Hackathon,
Oh, so you've been to one, yeah.
Yeah, I went to London Hackathon. That was crazy. I hadn't even started my YouTube channel or anything. That was kind of like the reason I started my YouTube channel, was after the hackathon, because I was like, I gotta like this community is just crazy. I met Dallas there. I met Brendan Bloomer there. I was with Dan Larimer. He was like asking me questions. It was just crazy. I remember he like gave me the phone with the wallet on it, that kind of software wallet they were building. Now it's all open source, but they kind of had their own vision. And I remember he gave it to me. He was like, "So what do you think?" I'm like,
"That's awesome.
What do you mean? What do I think?" Like, what? And it was like so inclusive. Like that's what sold me. Well, okay, I was a part of that. I was kind of sold on EOS from the beginning, but like seeing that hackathon and then what you just said about the World Expo, the community is everything, bro, and it's so strong.
Wait until you go to the next one. Now that you've been doing all the YouTube stuff for a while now. It's like you have these like one-sided relationships with people. It's like weird and cool at the same time. I don't want to. Weird's probably not a good word because it's very flattering, but like even me talking to you now, like this is the first time we've actually had a call, but I feel like I know you a little bit just from watching you on the tube.
Exactly.
That's really interesting at these events too. If you're a content creator, is like people kind of. They know your voice definitely, and they kind of know your thoughts and opinions on certain things, but you don't really necessarily know them. And it's
you don't know them,
cool.
yeah.
It's cool.
It was good. I think it was good to go to London Hackathon without doing any content, just because it was just like boots on the ground. I was like in there with everybody, and then now when I see them, it would be great. But yeah, like that hackathon was just cool, and I heard that the San Francisco one was amazing as well. But again, let's keep moving this on. We can go on for ages. Okay, we got here EOSIO platform for 2020 election. We won't go into that. That's a big one. We could quickly touch on that actually. Wait, because you did a good video about like Dan Larimer talking in Washington and stuff. Like, just don't go into like massive detail, but what have you heard? Like, I think that's really interesting.
So the gist of it is this: there's this guy. His name's Nathan Hort. He was the CTO of I can't even remember the name. The Follow My Vote.
That was it. Yeah, Follow My Vote. Yeah.
He was the CTO of this company, and they were planning to run a parallel election in 2016, and so that happened in November 2016, and they didn't end up following through on it for whatever reason. And then Dan Larimer and the CTO, that Nathan Hort guy, they're both on the patent for an like election blockchain system. And this is all public information. And then fast forward a few months, the very next thing that they were both working on was EOS. The guy who built this voting platform he wanted to run a presidential election. He was one of the original core developers. It was just him and Dan Larimer developing EOSIO code back in April 2017 when the ICO wasn't even announced until May or June. So he was basically the number one and number two on the project. And I met a girl who, she's a BitShares developer, and she mentioned that she knew this guy and that he's still like working on like voting stuff and having voting questions in these developer channels. So I don't know what's going to happen, but the technology's there, and that's the big thing.
Definitely, yeah. And the referendum proves that, right? But it's like obviously we haven't got the issue. We haven't solved the issue of one person, one vote yet. Like but you could do that with government ID, right?
Yeah,
but that would just be annoying because we're like crypto people. We're like, nah, we don't want to do government ID. We want to do something better than that. But yeah,
I think that EOS is going to have a KYC and a government ID. So let's go back to the EOS World Expo. I talked to enough people that I don't know if they had firsthand information or if it was secondhand, but it's trustworthy enough people that I'm 99% certain that there will be like some sort of government ID required for EOS, whatever EOS is.
I think I heard that as well. I think Dallas. I spoke to Dallas about that, and he was like saying that I think it's going to be government ID. It's like obviously not. I don't know. Is it 100%? Do you think there'll be? I think they have to, don't they? Because they're basically, people are getting rewarded. In technically, it's such a difficult kind of world. But they're in Washington, so if they're going to do KYC, they know what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing. So
we talked about this on the podcast, our podcast that'll probably come out after this video. But I don't see KYC as being a huge hurdle for mass adoption because as much as I want to complain about it, when I was in San Francisco, I had to take a picture of my driver's license to rent an electric scooter, and it was no problem for me to do. So it's not like this is unheard of. If you want to rent an Airbnb, you have to take a picture of your government ID, and you're basically KYCing yourself. So it's not like this is some huge layer of friction. It's just people in crypto tend to be like more private about things and want to stay anonymous.
Yeah, sure.
But if we want to do
go on.
If we want to do a UBI or a profit share, let's say EOS has a way to distribute profits from some sort of advertising platform or system. If they want to distribute profits, or you can call it a UBI, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be a big regulational hurdle if you don't have that KYC component.
Exactly, yeah. No, I think KYC is going to be it's going to be integrated, but it will be, the thing is with KYC, it doesn't matter as long as the KYC is going to a place which is secure, right? the KYC doesn't matter if it goes to a safe place, which you own, because and then they only have to access it a couple of times. Like, I think people are worried about KYC, where it's like, oh, well, they're going to give all my information out to like the government and the CIA, and just like, all that kind of, that's what people are worried about. So if it's on EOS and it's on a blockchain, and it's not going to be
maybe it's opt-in if you want to get like the revenue share or the UBI, if they even have that stuff. This is all just speculation, but maybe it is opt-in and it's only necessary if you want to like earn value from the platform. Maybe that's how they do it. I don't know.
Opt-in. Okay, sweet. We're moving on. Does it sound good, the mic, right?
Yeah.
It's all good? Okay, perfect. So there was a video. So there was a video made by Chris Dorr and Sebastian from WordProof, and Chris Dorr's from Effect.ai, and they did like a really cool tutorial video. Yeah, man. Just got a massive shout out to those guys, because I spoke to Seb on the phone the other night. We got him coming on the show, actually, EOSwriter, in I think next week we got him coming on. Those guys are working on stuff which is like massive. Like, whoa, we're talking like 33% of the internet could end up using this kind of stuff, and the people they're talking to about it, awesome. And then Chris Dorr, Effect.ai, like they've got a big announcement with their giveaway. They're doing like a 5,000. I don't know. Am I even allowed to mention this? Okay, they might be already out there, but basically what it is, they're doing their token swap at the minute, and I'm doing a video with Chris tomorrow for the giveaway. But yeah, man, those guys are great. Like, obviously you've met. Did you meet them at the? Did you meet Seb? No, these guys are European. Aren't they?
I've never met either of them, but I talked to Sebastian a good bit on Telegram, and Chris. I know mostly about Chris from hearing him on other people's podcasts. But we've DM'd a little bit. But Sebastian, like, a lot of people don't know about this with the WordProof. It's basically timestamping on Taylor's blockchain, like updates to a WordPress blog. But he's like really big in the WordPress community. He's not just some guy who does WordPress plugins. He has over 10 plus years of experience in it.
Yeah, and he knows the guy who runs the WordPress company the other side, and he's trying to get him on. It's crazy the links he's got.
Yeah, like, and he has a GDPR compliance plugin that he built in his team, and it has over 100,000 plus downloads and websites using it.
It's crazy
today.
It's crazy, man. He's already accomplished, and what he's going through now, like, it's so visionary in my opinion, because like you said, 33% of websites are built on WordPress. WordPress is an open source project, and then obviously there's the company, which is exactly the way EOS and block.one is. The WordPress, and then the company which builds on WordPress. They eat their own dog food, same thing as EOS. But if this can go well, dude, oh my god, this is huge, because then it's going to be the standard for making your website actually valid. Imagine that, like, your website's not even valid if it's not on the blockchain. Brendan Bloomer said that in one of his big, imagine that. It has to go through EOS. You've got to create an account. It's on Telos at the moment, but I think it's probably one of like the biggest things. It's like it's underground, but it's always the underground stuff which like really suddenly hits home, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is crazy," right?
But it's helping onboard developers though. So someone who's a WordPress developer, they're going to be able to create a free EOS account on Telos, and then if they want to dive in deeper on the plugin page on WordPress, Sebastian's going to have a link to the Everything EOS EOSIO developer courses, which are going to be free.
Shout out to you as well for those, dude. They're awesome. Yeah. I love. I don't really know about developing,
but
I watch
them. Yeah, we've put some previews out.
Yeah,
they will be out sometime later next week. But it's going to be the #1 onboarding tool for new developers coming into EOSIO. And since we're giving it away for free, Sebastian said he's probably going to put just information about it, and then the links to how to get to it in the plugin page itself. So whenever you download the plugin, it has the instructions on how to use it, but then it'll maybe say, if you want to learn more about EOSIO, here's what we recommend.
Yeah, man, I'm going to support that series, the development series, massively on my channel as well, because I might even try and learn. The projects are only as good as the community and the developers, so we've got to onboard new devs. But yeah, man, shout out to you guys.
We often talk about onboarding new users to EOS, but it's just as important to onboard new devs. That's the #1 problem that you'll hear if you talk to enough projects, is they all are like, do you know any devs? That's all anyone wants to ask me about, is if I have dev resources I could provide for them.
Yeah. Well, that's it. At the end of the day, the devs come first, because the devs build the infrastructure to make it easy for users. Think about the whole hardcore, HSP, whatever it is, whatever system they built. But yeah, man, I think we're kind of wrapping it up. So how long have we been? I don't know, but there's a lot. There's three last things. We got obviously.
We're up, my timer says almost 30 minutes. Now you know why Rob's and mine go so long.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, no, they're worth it, man. They're worth it 100%. I just sit there and watch the whole thing. If it's on my TV, I'll just leave it on, and I'll just be cooking or something. I'll spin round when I hear something which is cool.
I watch everything at 1.5 speed. That's the only way I can consume content. It's too slow. It's going just regular speed.
Soon we just need to upload this, bro. I just need to have it's me and Elon Musk, uploading this crap to my head. But yeah, it's cool to have you on the show, dude. Anyway, but we'll just skim through the last 3. So obviously we all know what's happening in June. It's going to be a bigger announcement of the hopefully the MEOS. Probably won't be called MEOS though, whatever. And then we've got EOS decentralized smart contracts. So the decentralized, we've done that. What's this about? Block producers, role, and gatekeepers of the change. I don't know what that article is. I'll click on it now.
Yeah, this is the first I'm seeing it also.
Because shout out to Kenny as well. They keep us on point with EOS, but this is basically talking about.
I think we've already kind of covered this, so it really comes down to using more multi-sigs. So wallets, if you want to have top security practices, or if it's a contract to decentralize it further, it really comes down to you should have more than one key controlling anything important to you or to a contract. It really comes down to just multi-sigs.
Multi-sigs, yeah. Well, that's a big deal. And also with the multi-sig thing, it's we'll jump back a little bit, but EOS had 87 million operations, right, in a day, wasn't it? I can't remember the exact number. I think it was 87 million. But Dan Larimer.
I'm actually reading this article. I was off base. Oh well.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, he was saying how if we can. Well, the multi-sig's one thing, right? But if you can have certain contracts which take off the burden of the operations within transactions, so instead of having like one set of keys which do everything, have like it comes with multi-threading as well. So it's like the future is, instead of having one private key which is the ruler of everything, have like lots and lots of different private keys, all designated to different, hopefully multi-threaded chains, which then do different transactions and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's another whole video again. But
well, permission controls is one of the most innovative features of EOSIO, and that it's like baked into the system that you could have these multi-layered permission systems to with different rules and time delays. So for like, you could have like your own like personal wallet set up so that you have like different limits. And this is something I think Chestnut's trying to do to make it really easy.
Yep.
Is like, maybe if you want to send a transaction that's higher than like 20 EOS, you could require a multi-sig, but anything under 20 EOS, you just need your regular just one signature from one private key. But if you want to send a big transaction, maybe you have to use your hardware wallet and like a password and
for security.
like a biometric ID.
I saw Chestnut at the London Hackathon, and I was like, there's definitely a market for that. And also scheduling transactions as well. So like monthly payments, that kind of stuff. Like that's a massive deal as well. We don't really have that yet because it's difficult to like sign on behalf. It's difficult to sign a transaction on behalf of someone without them doing it manually.
Yeah, we've gone long.
That's what happens, bro. The editor can cut it. We can do any type of illusions with editing, people. When we actually record this, you would laugh. But yeah, man, sweet. All right, well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. That was really good to have you on, dude. We'll do it definitely again. I think we're gonna have Dallas on next week or something. But yeah, man, like there's so much stuff kicking off. Like I always say, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to keep getting this kind of content. Go if you found this on the EOSwriter website.io, just go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to there as well, because we have a whole YouTube. We have loads of other interviews we're doing, and we've got some really cool guests coming on. We've got Seb coming on. Maybe we'll even have you on, dude, for like a proper interview, an EOSwriter one as well, because obviously you do a lot of them anyway. But maybe we'll do another one, and we'll do a video one. Yeah. But anything's possible. Maybe we'll do like one each month and just do like a mad Joe Rogan 3-hour like beast.
we should actually do that. We should like do a group one with like Dallas, me, you, like get Colin Talks Crypto, get Crypto 10. We should just do like a EOS YouTube like roundtable discussion where we all just like bullshit about whatever we want with just all of the familiar faces in the community. Sunday
night or something, just like get your dinner, get a drink,
get a beer.
Get a beer. I'm on that, brother. Let's do it, man. All right, well, yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. We will see you again soon. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. See you guys. Bye.
Later.